All right, what's up, Seventh Precinct? This is Phantology once again coming at you live, with me, Steven, Jake, and Josh together.
Also,
That's
RIP
comma,
7th
Steven.
Precinct.
Yeah,
Yeah, RIP 7th
So-
Precinct.
full spoilers. Full spoilers, as you can tell, for Daniel Greene's novella Breach of Peace, and Ben is on the line too, so got to get his name out there.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah, so
To start
guys,
out,
Yeah.
why
are we just
why
gonna
was it called
sp-
Breach of Peace?
Well, I
Well,
think.
because
Go ahead.
That's not a
I-
criticism. That's a discussion point.
I think that it was a
Thanks.
breach of peace
Thank
because
you,
there's this
English.
uneasy peace between the inspectors and the Ministry of Death, it seems like. And they're
Yeah.
just kind of coexisting, and there wasn't really much happening there until this. It seems like this event is going to break the camel's back and set up everything for Daniel's expanded
Okay.
universe that he's going for.
Yeah, I just thought it was because there had been peace for a long time, and now we have this violence. I guess what Ben said Ben said it better. Go with what he said.
Yeah.
I like that catchphrase.
Okay.
All right, so full spoilers. If you like Phantology, you can find more at www.phantologybooks.com and support on Patreon at patreon.com/phantology_books. Let's just go right into the plot. So should we talk about the characters, the three main characters, and kind of go from there?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, Clyd, Khlid. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So she's like a middle-aged woman, talks about like having some lines on her forehead or something like that. So I would suspect she's like late 30s or so, and she's been an inspector for a while, and she seems, fairly competent. And I don't know, what would you guys say about her?
Yeah, she's like the lead inspector for the precinct, right? Like
Is she the
her husband's superior
Yeah.
and Chapman's superior. And she talked about how she's the one where she gets all the information at the end, and she's the one who has to like piece everything together.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
she's been around the block. She kind of reminds me of Murphy a little bit if you've read Dresden Files. Like
Okay.
she
Yeah.
like can kick most police officers' butts because she actually trains and everybody else kind of doesn't. And she,
Mhm.
she's very perceptive at the first part of the book. Although I will say, at the beginning, you feel like you're ahead of the curve, and that changes very quickly because you realize very quickly that Clyd doesn't know anything that's going on, and you're kind of seeing everything through her eyes, and so therefore
Okay.
you're kind of in the dark about everything too.
I got a Vlora vibe
Yeah,
from her.
big
Okay.
color vibe.
Yeah, Powder
Yeah.
Mage. Lots of Powder Mage similarities.
Yeah.
I think the wardens from Powder Mage similar to
To the Anointed.
more of just like the demon creature.
I pictured more like vampire for the demon creature. Like
I guess
Yeah.
we shouldn't probably talk about that too much because there'd be spoilers for Powder Mage going in there. But
Yeah, I've only read the first one and I'm kind of lost. So.
Rewind.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we didn't say any spoilers yet. We'll try to avoid that. Okay, so that's Clyd. One thing I thought about her that I didn't like quite as much was I feel like there was too much navel gazing with her, where especially at the end of chapters, or at least 2 chapters, where it just kind of like ended with her like reflecting on what the case was and what the status was. It's like, yeah, I kind of already know this. I don't really need the recap here. Like, I'm already along for the ride, so thank you, but not necessary.
That is a little bit of a criticism, I think, is that he kind of restated some things, which I think is really easy to do. Like in the little bit of writing I've done, I always find that I'm going back and like clarifying something that I don't know if I said as clearly as I thought I had.
It's hard to know if your readers are with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about this in the non-spoiler, but especially for a mystery story where you're trying to leave clues for the readers, but not too much. So you're like bouncing, do I need to reiterate this? So it's like really is a clue,
Yeah.
or am I overdoing it?
Yeah, especially like right in the beginning with like the blood splatter on the little glass window pane. Like
Yeah.
he talked about that a few times. It was like, focus on this.
Yeah.
That said, there was some good misdirection.
There was.
Like with the ripped pocket on Chapman. I mean, that was
a misdirection.
that wasn't really anything, was it?
That's probably my main criticism with the
something's just
this
kind
is
of
the plot or
ended.
the mystery. I didn't understand how seeing an inspector's coat with a ripped pocket meant that he was up to something shady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
And it didn't really explain how it.
just a point of clarification, was that, did Chapman break into the shed? That's kind of what I thought. That he ripped his jacket.
Well, there's no blood on him though.
But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's not what I thought. I thought the husband did it. And the husband like broke in to get a weapon, and then ended up getting overpowered.
You mean the Lord of the Manor?
The one that was demonized.
Yeah, Lord Pruitt.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry, I meant the husband of that family. That's what I assumed. But
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we need to reread it, or
I
maybe it's supposed to be vague.
But from my like understanding of it, I thought the pocket and the fact that he didn't have his service revolver on him was kind of hinting that he was up to something shady, and it was supposed to connect to him being like having an informant at the rebellion or being part of the rebellion. But I don't understand how that really connects. But maybe it is supposed to be the glass thing, but he's not bleeding, so I don't think it was that.
One other misdirection, I thought that case that Sam came back from about the chickens.
Yeah, was going to
Yeah.
be something. Yeah.
That's like a way that a lot of authors set things up, like, oh, I'm back from this thing that doesn't mean anything, and don't think again about it. And then later on, it's like, oh my gosh, this is the thing.
Then you find out that was demon chickens that had been affecting the food supply.
I was thinking something, but that was
Cuckoos.
it was not like that.
Well, okay. Can I just kind of push back on that a little bit? I feel like that was kind of meant to illustrate what type of activities that the inspectors were running around doing. It's kind of like they were kind of being used in such a way to kind of give the public like this false sense of security, like, hey, we have these people out there in the community serving and helping. Well, you know, in reality, you have like the ministry like controlling everything.
Okay.
So I don't know. I agree that it could have probably been used better, but that's kind of what I take from that.
I don't know that I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm
It
just
was a
saying
good
it wasn't what I
misdirection.
was expecting.
Yeah.
I was trying to predict what would happen, and I was wrong.
Also, yeah, there was like this little thought in my mind that this assistant that he left back in the chicken coop is like gonna become and save the day or something. But
I also thought that Rollins guy, the junior inspector, I thought he might have been part of the resistance rebels. Yeah.
No, dude, he was solid policeman.
Well, I thought maybe it was set up to where he was supposed to look like that, and he was being, mocked by Chapman, and he was gonna like turn the tables on him and be like,
yeah, because Chapman also
the
said
guy.
something like, "Are you sure that your department's clean?" Like you were expecting somebody else to kind of be a quote unquote traitor or something. You know what I mean? Like, at least
that didn't really pan out, huh? Someone else. I mean,
well, who knows? Because
I think it might have just been that the whole system was corrupt, that they were all serving like this corrupt thing, the people that were torturing, like.
Oh, I thought he meant clean, like there'd be other people that were part of the rebellion.
Yeah, I think that is what he meant.
I guess
I don't
there's
know.
just kind of this air of mystery. We don't have all the information. So
In the
for better or
comments
for worse.
and Discord, let us know what you think we're interpreting right or incorrect.
And
Right,
we
but I
obviously
think-
all did read this pretty quickly.
We
so
all
might
read
miss
it
something
quickly,
in
but we all read it within the past 2 days, and all four of us have kind of these confusions around the same things. So I mean, take that for what you will.
Okay, well, they might not even be confusions. It might just be like red herrings throughout the book that are fine to do.
And plus,
They're fine
that's
to
probably
do.
like it could have been natural dialogue. That's what Chapman's character would have been saying at the time,
Yeah, but could
whether
put
it
pieces
really had-
together to figure
whether
out
it was
that
like a smoking gun or not. Sorry.
Okay, but
go ahead.
here's the thing though. Could put pieces together to figure out that that Chapman was part of the rebellion, and we should have known what those pieces were and why they fit together.
Did she thought he had an informant?
No, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he,
informant
like,
part of the
basically-
rebellion is similar, but why would she think that? Just because he was acting shady? Like
Because
that was
he kept getting information faster than everyone else.
And everyone was just like, "Oh, he's super smart," and she was like, "No, he's still getting information that like."
I don't know, man. I still think that she should have had some reason to figure that out. If you've worked with somebody for like however long they've worked together and they've never given you a reason to distrust them, and you know that they're like this genius detective that figures out more cases than like the rest of the precinct combined, you've got to believe.
With Sherlock, like I'm mostly thinking of the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. Like you always have the cops thinking that he's like that he either has an informant or is the one committing the crimes, and they're always trying to prove that.
Who's what's the name of
I know, I'm trying to remember it.
the police chief who always like gets your luck in on the cases? That's Rollins to me.
It's Rollins, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's the dude's name? I mean, it's a name from the actual books.
But going back to what you said, Ben,
Inspector.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I don't understand how the ripped pocket connects to that, but I do understand she had these questions. He acted shady, and she's like, wait, why is he acting shady here? He hasn't been getting information super quick. He probably has this informant that no one else knows about, and he's using it to his advantage. I think that made sense. She didn't know he was part of the rebellion.
I just don't know how having an informant would be like treason. Like that seems a little bit, excessive.
Well, I think that's having an informant that you haven't. I mean, like you've got like they believe that the rebellion is like this terrorist organization that goes around bombing schools and little kids and stuff. So like,
which it might be. It was kind of vague whether that was them or that could have been part of the ministry.
Come on, dude. The ministry at the end burned down the entire brothel and blamed it on the rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's pretty much confirmed that.
Yeah.
It's all the ministry.
I'm an idiot.
Like
the ministry.
Like the camera. I'm an idiot.
The Ministry of Death.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, like, the rebellion does still exist because Chapman was getting his information from somebody. But I mean,
well, he was an informant. He was part of the.
But he was part of the rebellion. Like he was getting information from other rebellion members. I'm just saying,
he was part of the rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ben is clarifying that the rebellion does in fact exist, and it's
right.
Not all
I'm
just
saying
the
that
they
ministry.
probably
you could have made the case
terrorist activities.
Right. You could have made the case that rebellion is completely made up and that the ministry is just completely making them up.
That's true.
Except for Chapman being part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Right.
I do hope that the rebellion, like, because it's heavily insinuated that she's going to go join the rebellion, or it's like told that
she said she wanted to.
Yeah, isn't like that's what she wanted to do, but she got offed, man.
Oh,
she got owned.
Yeah. My bad.
Well,
Dude.
but okay, here's the thing: she might not have been, because at the end,
Nobody.
the anointed was like, "We need another subject."
Yeah, your little bird.
Yeah, or little rabbit.
Little rabbit.
Yeah.
Well, she would. I mean, implying that she'd become one of those Icker creatures.
Yeah, but I can see.
Not a
see-
desirable
she-
fate, man.
She could have escaped.
No.
We didn't see it happen on screen.
Yeah, after getting her knee blown out with a knife, she's not going anywhere, man. That was I'm just gonna say that was my one complaint, is that literally nobody survived. Not even
that's
the
the
nice
horror
prostitute.
aspect.
Yeah, this is like a slasher where everybody dies.
Yeah.
Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
I
So I
still
guess
feel like
it's-
somebody.
Maybe Clid survived in some. I mean, if Daniel wanted to, he could bring her back in some guys.
Some rebellion people could come in, rescue her.
She could very well. She's probably dead.
She's probably dead, which is too bad, but also kind of perfect for the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after you see Chapman die and Samuel die,
she's at least not going back to being an inspector, because one of the things that he did twice was a Stephen King thing, right?
Yeah.
That's what I haven't read any Stephen King, actually. A gap in my fantasy knowledge, but he does like things where he kind of spoils what's going to happen a little bit further in advance. And so there are a couple lines, like he says, this is the last crime scene of her career. And he says that Clid and Samuel shared their last kiss. And that's like, bad things are coming.
I think this is an example of how his prose was really good in parts. Like, I thought it was above average, and some parts it was really good. Like, throwing those in, even though it's kind of spoiling what's going to happen, you don't know how, and you have this like tension and disbelief. Like, immediately I'm like in denial, like, no, but there's some way that's going to be overturned.
You're like, how is he going to make that true, but also like unexpected?
But still hoping it'll come true in the way I want it to.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wish that one of those things would have been flipped on its head a little bit.
Yeah,
Like-
they weren't. Stephen King does that more. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think that they serve the purpose of like building this dramatic tension.
Yeah. Although Dune does the same thing, and you guys criticize Dune over that.
whoa.
Jake's crusade on Dune.
Okay, wait, let's not spoil Dune.
Well, we're just saying that Dune does things
Just that
like
aspect.
that-
I know.
that
I'm not-
part that-
But there's very specific things about Dune.
yeah, we're not going to say what they are. We'll just
I know, but
Okay,
that
let's
didn't
move
work
on
for
from
me
Dune.
the
Okay.
way that this worked.
You three have this dark, assorted history with Dune.
watch our Dune review.
Let us know how wrong
Yeah.
Stephen and Josh are.
I
And
okay. I
everything.
didn't love that way in Dune. I don't know if I love it in general. I like more of the surprise aspect.
Is that more? I mean, is that more of a horror thing? Like I just know really Stephen King does it, and now I've read it in this book, which has a lot of those elements. So maybe it's like an archetype of that
I
genre.
feel like Dean Koontz does that too.
Does he? I've only read a couple of his. I don't remember it particularly.
I feel like it's done less in like fantasy and more in like kind of like
The pulpy.
yeah.
Okay. I enjoyed it. The aspect of it.
Okay, we talked Clyd's
talked Clyd,
character. How about Samuel? Our
Samuel's
second
the
of
most
three?
forgettable person for me.
I didn't love Samuel. I'll be honest.
I think the highlight of his character was the rivalry with Chapman, but Chapman was more interesting overall.
Chapman was great.
Not just his backstory, which was more interesting,
Mhm.
but him as a character too. Like his interactions with other people, how he was kind of just a jerk to everyone, but like recognized it didn't want to be, kind of Sherlock-esque.
Did you read him as like being on the spectrum at all?
Samuel.
I
No,
can't.
no, I'm sorry. I just who cares about
Chapman?
Samuel? Let's talk about Chapman.
Oh. No, we got to talk about
Okay,
Samuel.
fine. But we just
But no, I saw him.
okay.
No.
I have stuff to say about Samuel.
Samuel was not a very
Is
great
that
character.
okay?
He was a
Samuel
good
was fine.
character, but
No, yeah.
he wasn't that interesting.
Here's my take on Samuel. You don't want in your fantasy story, you don't want like the princess that everyone has to save that's helpless. I felt like Samuel was like the male version of that. Like Clyd was the capable wife, and Samuel was kind of like the husband who was hot-headed and couldn't hold things together and wasn't particularly smart and didn't really ever do
He was
anything
smart.
productive. Was he?
He
I mean,
was
he got,
the second
he
best.
got totally outmaneuvered.
We were told he's smart. but
Yeah.
Did we see him
sure.
being that
Yeah.
smart?
I just felt like he was kind of like a bumbling husband
I didn't see
character.
him as that.
As a bumbling
hot-headed.
husband myself.
So you related to Samuel.
Yeah, I did. I feel like Samuel was my least favorite character, but he was also the one I related to most.
I liked how he was introduced through Clyd's perspective. Are we sure it's Clyd? I feel like it's Cliss for some reason.
There's no
It's
S.
good,
There's
man.
no S. I don't know
No.
why. Okay,
Maybe
I just
even
want to
like
make sure it's
Chris,
in right.
Chris from
Yours been as Chapman
That's
is
why,
with
yeah.
with Smith's.
I like how
Yeah.
he was introduced through Clyd's perspective, and like it's kind of built up because like in her mind she sees him as not perfect but really great.
yeah. She
And
loves
then-
him.
So I loved how we got that introduction, and then immediately you get like the conflict between him and Chapman, and so you can kind of compare and contrast what really are his strengths and really are his weaknesses through different perspectives.
I just figured out she's Hermione Granger and he's Ron Weasley.
No, he's not wrong.
Wrong enough. Yeah.
No, he's
Dude,
not.
Ron could have
Definitely
never-
not movie Ron, and he's better than book Ron.
Ron could never have pulled off the grab the gun while you push the guy away. Like
Yeah.
deholstering. That was a pretty cool move, man.
And he was smart. They did show that he was smart because, most of his focus was on Chapman, but he was able to kind of figure out what Chapman's goal was and trying to like solve the case himself and get rid of them, right? Or maybe that was more Clyd. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
When they're in the manor, like, oh, he's going to the cellar. We got to wrap up here quick and get there.
That's true.
Yeah.
He was just really focused on Chapman and that rivalry, which brought him down a notch, not in characterization,
liked
but just
the-
as a person.
I like the moment when you see through Clyd's eyes, both of them talking, Chapman and Samuel talking back and forth. And she says something like, they work together so well and they were making a lot of progress on the case. And it's just kind of a shame that they have this rivalry
Yeah.
that prevents more productive work.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Chapman then.
Going back to Josh's comment, I didn't see him as on the spectrum. I kind of saw the opposite. I saw him as like, I don't know. I guess you could argue that the Sherlock from BBC, is on the spectrum.
I would say so.
But I saw it like similar to that, but in a more like, I don't know, suave way. He seemed pretty suave with his tattoos.
Yeah.
So they never addressed the tattoos more. I wanted more like information of the tattoos.
I want Idris Elba to play him.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe let's focus on the tattoos because I just read the Blade itself.
Oh yeah.
And Fenric Greyback?
Fenric the Feared.
Fenric the Feared.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Man, that guy made an impression
Oh,
on
yes.
us. Anyways.
Yeah, I will say maybe the tattoos were like a secret part of being in the rebellion that we don't know about, but
Yeah. Yeah.
No, well, but he'd only been in the rebellion for a few months, and the tattoos were.
yeah.
Plus, if that was a rebellion thing, you think that would have been like a clear
Yeah.
Oh, he's in
like
the
clue
rebellion.
to the
All right. So
department.
Chapman, the guy with the tattoos. That's how we think of him, apparently.
And apparently the ripped shirt that is an indicator of malfusion.
Yeah, the pocket. Yeah. I thought one good characterization move was having him be terrible with the officers underneath him.
Yeah.
Not
really like
remembering
that.
their names. He just in general was not great with people. He was brilliant, but wasn't a very good leader. That made him a good.
But he wanted
dynamic
to be.
character.
He's like,
He wanted to be better, but it wasn't like it didn't seem like his
wasn't
journey
high on
was
his
striving
priority
to be
list.
better. It's just like, yeah, I should be better. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked his interactions with Officer Schmitz.
Uh huh.
That was pretty fun.
There was some humor. I get. Yeah, that's a good point. I had noted down that I wanted more dark humor. I felt like there could have been more dark humor, but that was a good humorous
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, we've kind of talked about these three characters, but should we have? Because they're all dead. I don't understand this book, you guys. Like in the fact that we're gonna read more in this world, hopefully soon. But all these characters are dead. Do we care about the guy that's crying over his dead brother at the end?
Allegedly. all
They're
are
dead.
Whoa.
Dude, Chapman was ripped in half.
Okay, yeah.
I guess we didn't necessarily see Chapman die. We just.
I was
heard
hoping
it.
that Chapman killed the anointed.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
too. And then I was
Yeah.
like, nope, it's not that book.
No.
I liked, like I said, I have hope that Clid makes it out somehow. But I
like, why can't you be the first successful test?
Yeah.
Well, Chapman was successful to some degree. Like he was able to keep his mind enough to know to fight and help Clid.
Yeah.
That's true.
But at the same time, I like how like neatly it wraps up. This happened.
Kind of like a Rogue One.
like Rogue One.
Okay, sure.
To bring it back to 1984,
Yeah.
it ends in this ominous, mood of the heroes didn't win. I liked
Rats,
it.
man.
Yeah.
The rats.
Dude, that's scarred me.
Yeah.
And this is a novella. There's going to be 2 more novellas. He wants to write more in the world as well. I mean, if you think about, like, let's say the novella came after a full novel that he had written, and the full novel is about a bunch of other characters.
Yeah,
You
you
get
wouldn't
this.
care.
You get this novella with some one-off characters. They explore things a little bit. They die. You're like, yeah, whatever, because we got full
Expands the
novels.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe by the time the full novels, the series is a little bit further on. We look back on this. We're like, oh yeah, they died, but okay, they introduced the world.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Even though I really want to see more of Clid, it is a novella introducing this world. Like, I think he says there's going to be 3 novellas in this series.
Uh-huh.
I could see each one with a completely different cast.
Maybe like a rebel group that gets wiped
Yeah.
out at the end. That's
Especially-
like straight out of Rogue One.
Yeah. But especially as a novella, like if you're expecting these characters to really span multiple novellas, like then it would just be a book, right? You'd condense those
Yeah.
into a book.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. There must have been some reason that he
Yeah.
did 3 novellas.
So-
Maybe this is why.
So I think
So-
it's perfectly acceptable. You may not like it just because it's like
So
not a
second
happy ending.
second novella, like, be warned, the characters are probably going to
The
die.
chickens. It's the one guy that got spared from the 7th precinct
Yeah.
up in the chicken coop.
Yeah. The second novella picks up with the chicken case.
I got
He
it.
like comes back in this whole department because he's technically part of the 7th, right?
True.
The 7th is alive.
Gosh. Daniel Greene, if you're watching this,
We figured it out.
chickens if we're on the right track.
All right, we have a few minutes remaining. What other plot events are worth talking about? One thing for me, I thought that the whole tone was set up really well by just by showing the boy, the infant that was like gruesomely dead and hanging by the windowsill. Like terrible image, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's something that I like to see, but it set up the imagery of what the book was going to be excellently right from the beginning. And I just read another book that was a little more grimdark, but it didn't get into the grimdarkness until a little bit later on. And I felt that was a little jarring. Yeah. I just felt that was a little more jarring. And so I like this decision to show you right away what to expect.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say I didn't really understand like the Pruitt family is like this ministry found a way to produce metal that the Pruitt family is gonna like use, and then the ministry had to send them a message by experimenting on them, and that part kind of got convoluted for me. Like I think I understood most of that, but I'm not sure why they needed to be made such examples of.
I think the overall resolution at the end, when you finally understand what happened, I think it makes sense, like perfect sense. I do think probably one of the weakest parts is just them piecing together these clues when they were right or when they were wrong. Just these kind of the logical jumps were a little too big of jumps in my opinion.
Right, because they didn't, here's the thing though, Clit didn't get anywhere close to solving anything until Chapman was like, yo, this is what's going down, meet me at the docks, like.
She had certain things like spot on. She knew the murders were done to send a message. She assumed it was a rebellion. It wasn't a rebellion. It was the Ministry of Defense. And then they assumed with the steel stuff that he was making these huge profits, which is why this happened, which it is at the end. It was because he was trying to rip off the Empire. Right?
Yeah.
So she was like, in this aspect, it was done well, where, kernels of truth were there, but not all together. But I do think some of the logical conclusions were too big of.
Here's my thing though. Her figuring stuff out didn't drive the plot. It's one thing if she's like, oh, I found this clue. I got to go to the docks because that's where it's going down. It's another thing if you just get told to go.
That's true. Kind of the plot was dragging our characters along rather than the characters maybe moving the plot along. I could see that criticism a little bit.
Yeah. Can we talk about my favorite scene, the cellar scene?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we only have a few minutes left, but this was what sold me on the book, this scene. Like her Cleve feeling like this oppressive darkness, her struggling with against herself as much as this creepy environment she was in. The kind of, I read it as like a vampire dropping on her. That's like what was in my mind going into like a vampire cave.
With the blood into her mouth.
And blood into her mouth.
Oh yeah.
Like I almost gagged. Like I had a physical reaction to that.
What about how it had this magical power of being able to yell super loud and stun our three heroes?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I have ingrained in my mind the vision of her looking up and just seeing it on the ceiling and all the folds of its skin and
yeah. Very descriptive.
Really
it's definitely a red core vampire if it's a vampire.
But I just think that this was the most immersive horror setting I've been in a really long time. It kind of reminds me of some scenes in It.
I haven't read it.
Yeah.
Last hitters from me. I wanted to know more about the Almighty showing up with technology. I mean, is this Zuckerberg coming in, or what is this? And then these anointed ones as well. We just don't have any detail. I don't necessarily think that's a knock on the book. I'm just interested to learn more.
Yeah, it's a hook for me. It makes me want to read more.
Yeah.
Okay, so
go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure we leave some time for worst of the best because I feel like we owe this book the worst of the best. Worst of the best. I'm gonna go.
Okay, let's hear yours.
Okay, worst of the best. I loved the tertiary characters. I specifically loved the brothel and how capable all those characters were. The worst part of that is how just unnecessarily they all got killed off. I don't know. I feel like we need at least one tertiary or some character to make it out of there alive to kind of tell the story of what happened.
The journalist survived.
He wasn't there.
His brother, his half brother.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying one
His
person.
half brother died.
Only one person that we know of survived. Him and the chicken guy.
Chicken guy.
Okay.
All right.
My worst of the best has to do with the journalist guy. I loved how we got that perspective changed, how we got that, like, okay, there's this like mystery of truth. I don't know if that's exactly what they're called, but that's like what I think of them.
Yeah.
And that they're really driving all the narrative. I just wish we would have had a little bit more of that, maybe like a little bit longer page count. Maybe it's because like I thought I had another 5% of the book left, but that was the acknowledgments. So I was kind of like expecting a little bit more and then it ended.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, mine. Yeah, mine. I love the grimdark feel. I thought there was like so much vomit, too much vomit. She was just like, she was throwing up way too much. Like, what did she eat before? What is she throwing? She was just throwing up so
She didn't
much.
even throw up after the concussed, man.
Oh yeah,
I felt like every chapter she was throwing up. That's an exaggeration. Maybe I just don't like vomiting. I think that's like the nastiest thing in the whole book. Even I don't know. I just have this visceral reaction to vomiting. I don't like doing it. I don't like seeing it.
It's like Abercrombie with urinating.
Yeah.
Every character.
Yeah. So lots of vomit.
All right, Jake.
I'm having a hard time. Like, there are things I liked and there are things I disliked, but
Combine them.
do they overlap?
That's the
I would say just the mystery in general. Parts of it were super engaging and I really liked it. And other parts, looking back, I just don't realize what the importance there was. But
Okay.
All right. That's a wrap. Thank you, Daniel Greene, again for the advanced copy. And if you are watching this, go ahead and pre-order. Well, actually, this will be out by the time it's out. So go and
Order
buy
it.
it. Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, just go get it on Amazon. Come on, support our booktuber here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into this. I guess live. It's not a live.
It's not live. I don't know.
It's a live. I don't know. How do we? We're in the same.
In person.
Yeah, in person. So
Not following social distancing rules. I'm just gonna point that out for you guys, for our listeners.
It's a trick of the camera. This
Yeah.
is really 6
It's about
feet.
6 feet.
okay, we're not going to address that one.
That's the worst
All
of the best for
Let
this
us know.
live section.
Let us know how we look full body. We're all still handsome, right? All right. See everyone later. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Phantology. If you'd like to let us know your opinions on all things sci-fi and fantasy, join our Discord. Invites are in the episode descriptions below. If you'd like to support the show, like these fine folks here, you can do that at patreon.com/phantology_books. Patrons get early access to new episodes, exclusive postings, and exclusive Discord benefits. But of course, just listening and watching and sharing with your friends and family is support enough. Journey before destination all.